Hello Dallas Cowboys fans, here's the latest Dallas Cowboys news. There seems to be a lot of misunderstanding about where Martavis Bryant is in his NFL career, a career that has a bit of new life now that the league has ended his suspension, allowing him to sign with the Dallas Cowboys. First big misunderstanding is about what Bryant means to the Cowboys. There is, contrary to overheated speculation, no imminent plan, and really no plan, to elevate him to the 2023 roster. In the event of an injury in the receivers' room led by CeeDee Lamb, that concept would be revisited. This happened, in terms of performance in practice or in terms of behavior off the field, that would make such a move impossible. Outside of his stature, Bryant at 6'4" is nothing short of noticeable. There is nothing that stands out about his work that would require him to leave the practice squad. The issue, by the way, is one that Bryant addressed frankly, saying he's been in some really dark places and times, places you can't even imagine. So hard to get through those times. Dark time for me. Related, I faced my demons. Martavis' first interview with Cowboys about dark places returned. Meanwhile, Bryant, who once excelled with the Steelers and Raiders until substance abuse led to his suspension in 2018, causing him to miss 4 seasons, is now being mentioned as having a future elsewhere. Bleacher Report is suggesting that the Chargers might want to cut Bryant from the Dallas roster. To do that, they simply need to contact him to add him to their active roster, and unless the Cowboys respond by calling Bryant, who turns 32 this month, he'll be headed to Los Angeles. At this point, the Chargers can afford to make a desperate move. That may be true, we're not privy to the Chargers' thinking. But in Dallas? In terms of roster, the Cowboys are on the verge of needing to bring in a defensive tackle, Carl Davis, to replace the injured Jonathan Hankins. So there's probably no room at the end for a 7th receiver on the active roster. Leave your like to make sure you don't miss any news. Dak Prescott has put the Dallas Cowboys over the top in the NFC East, inserting himself into the forefront of the MVP conversation, and it looks like he'll be generously rewarded for doing so this offseason. Prescott is entering the final year of his current contract, in 2024, while counting $59 million against the cap, which is an environment ripe for a new contract to keep him in a Cowboys uniform for the foreseeable future. That's what Jerry Jones has in mind. "I never thought we wouldn't do a contract," Jones told the Dallas Morning News. I guess that's the best way to put it. The idea of doing it or not doing it has not been in discussion from my perspective at any time here. Jones told the Morning News that a Prescott extension is inevitable. Still, there is a deadline for Prescott and the Cowboys to agree on a new deal. Prescott will receive a $5 million roster bonus on the 5th day of the new league year in March, so it would make sense for the Cowboys to try to sign a new contract by then. However, there's no question that Prescott's price has gone up this season, both because of the contracts signed by Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow's deal with the Cincinnati Bengals, making him the highest-paid quarterback at $55 million, combined with his strong season. After beating the Eagles in prime time, Prescott has passed for 3,505 yards with 28 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions this season. "Don't pay attention to the argument of expecting too much," Jones said on his radio show on 105.3 The Fan. "It's meaningless. The only factual thing here is what I decide and what we decide as a team and what Dak decides. We know exactly where we are in the contract, the remaining years of the contract, and we should be, and are, as close to that kind of communication as possible. The timing of that remains to be seen." Jerry Jones praises Mike McCarthy. Despite intermittent speculation that the Cowboys might try to move on from Mike McCarthy, perhaps even replacing him with defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, that doesn't appear to be the direction Jones is headed. "He's the busiest man in Dallas, Texas," Jones said of McCarthy in his weekly radio appearance on 105.3 The Fan. "If you're going to call them, you need to install them. He's not only our coach, but he's also our offensive play caller. That makes for some long and complicated weeks. But he's done an excellent job. I don't know when we've played better against a quality opponent since Mike got here than against the Eagles." Under McCarthy's tutelage, the Cowboys have won 5 in a row and 7 of their last 8 games. It doesn't look like McCarthy is in the hot seat anymore, even after some disappointing postseason finishes in recent years. Cowboys still need help to win the NFC East. Even after defeating the division rival Eagles 33-13 in primetime, the Cowboys still don't control their own destiny for either the NFC East Championship or first place in the conference. Dallas' tough loss to the Arizona Cardinals earlier this season could again affect the Cowboys, as the Eagles still hold the best record in the conference. For the Cowboys to win the division, it starts with beating the Bills, Dolphins, Lions, and Washington. But the Cowboys would need the Eagles to lose at least one more game in the NFC. Philadelphia still has to travel to Seattle to play the Seahawks on Sunday, before finishing with a game against the Cardinals sandwiched between two games against the New York Giants. If the Cowboys win and the Eagles lose once, Dallas will win the division and host at least one game in the NFL playoffs. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any Dallas Cowboys news.